So, we've all watched the best anime of the season, Sousou no Frieren. And there's one particular song that to me fits both Frieren and the snowy season. And so, on today's song analysis, we're gonna talk about Shirayuki by Eve. When I first watched the music video, maybe just like all of you, I'm captivated. I'm in awe, like gasping, jaw on the floor of like how amazing it is. I mean, if you've been a fan of Eve, you might experience this a lot since like the production quality this man has for his music videos is just, it's not even on the roof. It's like, it's on Eiffel Tower. It's high. Anyways, when I first watched the music video, I thought this was about a lesbian love story. I don't know if it's because like the style of the character design. By the way, this music video is made by the same studio who handled Violet Evergarden. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's beautiful. But yeah, both the main character in this music video is just so, it looks like they're both feminine. I don't really know, but there's like a lot of debate and like discussions about their genders. And to be honest, to me, I think it's kind of intentional because their gender is not even like the main problem in the situation. It's like they're saying it doesn't really matter what their genders are because it's about love that transcends the norm. From the start of the music video, you can see this black-haired bird-like person in some kind of lake. And since the music video has a lot of Scandinavian and Nordic references, a lot of people in the comments have pointed out that this probably references to the Swan of Tuonela. I don't know if I pronounced it wrong, I'm so sorry. But yeah, the Swan of Tuonela is actually a tone poem from a Finnish mythological epic called Kalevala. And it sounded like this. The Swan of Tuonela is said to be a sacred bird, long-necked, graceful swimmer in the cold black river of Tuonela. And the river of Tuonela is said to be the one that separates our world with the land of the dead. So the black swan is the one who carries the soul of the living into the afterlife, which is the bottom of the river where souls will stay there forever in slumber. Which is very fitting because we can see that the first appearance of the black-haired character is from the bottom of the river, and then they show up to the surface, and then they meet this white-haired character who greeted them with a smile. This white-haired person, let's call them Snow White because Shirayuki, seems to be a local who lives in a village there, because in the next scene you can see this Snow White in like a house full of like people staring at like some kind of drawing or painting that seemed to be like the local folklore or myth. I don't know if that's the right term, but it seems like it's something the locals believed in. In the painting, you can see that there's this woman with a black hair and like wings taking away a little boy. And if I have to guess, that's probably the Swan of Tuonela, the black swan that we talked about earlier. In this painting, it seems like the Swan of Tuonela is depicted as like an evil entity that kidnaps little boys, because there you can also see that all the people like that is not taken are like all either long-haired with a skirt, so I assume they're girls, and the one being taken away is like a little boy. And it also seems to only happen on winters because there you can kind of see like 12 moons on the top, and then there's like mountains with like snows and stuff, which kind of shows to me that it happens yearly every winter. So to conclude it all, I think the locals believe that every year, every winter, the Swan of Tuonela will take the soul of a little boy, which a lot of people theorize is the reason why the Snow White is dressed like a girl even though they are born biologically a male. Again, there's a lot of discourse about this, but I think there's like a lot of hints in the music video that shows that the Snow White is biologically born as a male. One of them was when they're like opening their dress, and it kind of shows that the chest of the Snow White is flat. And don't get me wrong, flat girls exist, but they also kind of like touches their neck and there's like this Adam's apple there. So yeah, I think like those gestures are meant to be hints. I might be wrong though, like it could be just like a fashion statement or like they just want to dress as a girl, or they just feel like as they grow up they're a girl. But at least to me, the most plausible theory for now is that the Snow White do this to avoid being kidnapped by the Black Swan, which I think is also confirmed by the gesture of the Snow White after they see the painting. They kind of like sway and see their skirt as if telling that, oh, with this guys, I'm safe. Another thing you have to notice is that since the kidnapping only happens on winter, coincidentally their first encounter in the music video is on spring, because there you can kind of see how it's pretty sunny and there's like a lot of flowers blooming, pretty much showing that it's spring, probably, obviously not winter. And coincidentally again, the Snow White also shows up already dressed as a girl. So I don't know, I think despite everything, despite the circumstances, it's as if like the world wants them to meet, which is pretty poetic considering this was their first encounter. Why I said this song is about a love story that transcends norm is because they're just so different. One is a mortal human, one is an immortal. And even if we put aside like the genders and sex, one is a local human who seems to have a religious background, and the other one is depicted as a villain in the local folklore. And I'm sure as an immortal, the Black Swan knows how hard it is to actually fall in love with the human, which is kind of shown in the first line of the lyrics where they say, "The distance between you and I stretches several light years apart." So like, yeah, they knew, but it seems like they cannot resist the attraction. I don't know, maybe like because they're so opposites attract. Such a tangled love out of the corner of the street. The lights were blinking, anxious and unable to control, quick step under the foot. This year is still the taste of winter as always. I think throughout the song, the lyrics kind of shows how both of them knew that they cannot stay together forever as much as they want to, but like the way they approach it is like, because they knew that time is limited, they wanted to like savor every moment that they have. And it's not like there's no fear of losing the ones you love, because there's a lyric that says wondering whether to meet you again or not, which kind of shows how there's like doubt on whether they should continue this or not, because like they know it's gonna hurt. So like it's a complicated feeling. But then again, in the end they said, face the future even if it hurts 1,000 times. Just wait for you to reach forward. So yeah, basically they're saying that we know that it will hurt, but let's face it. And I have to say that Eve did such a good job to describe this feeling. Like, we've all watched the best anime of the season, again, Frieren, and I feel like this is such a good song to like describe that type of love. It has like the tenderness of love, it has like bittersweet ending, and like it describes the longing someone has when they lose their loved ones, but also they want to savor every moment with them. It's a female song, okay? To me, it's a female song. In the lyrics, he even wrote, "Before the dawn came, I just want to see this scenery once more." This line automatically brings me to Frieren. I think this line kind of represents how short human lives are in the eyes of an immortal, because to us it might cost like a lifetime, but like to them it might be just like as short as the time between the night to the dawn. Like the way when you see Frieren says like, "Oh, it's just 8 years, it's so short, I got like 1,000 more years to live," and the humans around her are like, just 8 years? That's like half of my life, bruh. Which again make this one line even more beautiful, because I think if you're in love as an immortal, you will always have to be ready for that risk of not seeing your loved ones ever again. It might happen tomorrow, it might happen the next week, the next year, and they cannot do anything about it. So every time they can only wish that they could see another day, another week, another year with the ones that they love. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, so what's next? What's gonna happen to them? The two lovebirds, what are they gonna do? Remember when I said in the beginning that the kidnappings only happens on winter? Well, a lot of people in the comment section have pointed out that this particular part that's like a celebration slash ritual in the middle of the music video probably refers to St. Lucy's Day. St. Lucy's Day is a Christian feast day celebrated every year on December 13th, mostly on Scandinavian countries countries and Italy. Christians celebrate this day to commemorate Lucia of Syracuse, who is an early 4th century virgin martyr. And according to legend, she was the one who brought food to aid the Christians hiding in the Roman catacombs. And she does that by wearing a candlelit wreath in her head to light her way, just to leave both of her hands empty so she can bring like as much food as possible to the people. Which is why when you see the music video, you can see that the kids and the people wears like a white robe and like a candlelit wreath in their heads too. Now the thing is, Lucia means light, and this whole celebration is said to be a day that helps one went through winter with enough light. Seeing all this, to me, another reminder, this is by no means a canon lore. This is just what I assume, like my own theory, my own headcanon. But I think in this universe of Shirayuki, the celebration slash ritual is done in order to keep the black swan away, in order to give enough light and enough warmth to the black swan so they don't need to take a soul. Which is why after this scene, you can see the black swan kind of went to the beach, and it seems like they're like going away, like going somewhere far away. And in the middle of the celebration, the Snow White kind of sneaks out to meet the black swan in that beach. And there, she's kind of like holding their hand and is not letting them go. And so yeah, after that, they stayed together. Now, if we talk about symbolism, to me, there's a lot of things that just screams death and rebirth. Like for example, the walking into the sea, to me kind of represents the end of a journey, like ending a long life. Which is why, like I mentioned before, after the ceremony, the black swan went to the beach to go. And yeah, I think even if after that they decided to stay, I think it's only like for a very short time, because the next scene also shows them walking on the beach again, like separating. And here, since the Snow White's hair is white and the black swan is the immortal, we cannot really see like the aging part, but I think it still shows how a long time has passed, because previously the Snow White is like shorter than the black swan, but in this scene the Snow White is a lot taller and is built like an adult. And yeah, the walking on the beach again, I think kind of shows how they're about to end a journey that they postponed to end, that they withheld. And I don't know who's about to go. Is it the mortal? Is it the immortal? But basically this shows how short-timed their relationship is, and even if it's just a short while, even if they end up separating, I think it just shows that in the end they're both happy. But do not be sad, everybody, because if you notice throughout the music video, you can see that sometimes the Snow White has like long hair, sometimes it's like braided, and sometimes it's short, right? And guess what? I don't know if it's intentional or if it's a coincidence, but the last scene and the first scene, coincidentally, the Snow White both has short hair. And if we put into consideration how many symbolism of rebirth in the music video, like the eggs, the hatching, the mating, the black swan coming out of it, you can kind of like see a possibility of like a rebirth. I mean, it's kind of a reach, but hear me out. Saint Lucy is a Christian celebration, right? And in Christianity, there's a thing called baptism. As far as I know, baptism symbolizes rebirth. And you know what they do when they baptize someone? They immerse themselves in the water up to the head, and when they resurface, they're basically reborn. And guess what happened in the start of the music video to the black swan? They came out of the water. So if we connect the dots, you know, the dots are connecting. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know if that makes sense or not. That's just like in my head. That's probably my coping mechanism, because why do people make such a sad love story? I don't want to be sad. I didn't sign up for this. But anyways, I think this song is very bittersweet. Again, it has like that tenderness of love and that longing. And even though it tells a story about a mortal and an immortal, I think us as humans could still relate to that, because separation happens all the time, not just by death, and not just by time, not just by race, not just by gender. can happen with a lot of reason, right? And to be separated from your loved ones one day can feel like an eternity. Like Einstein was right, time is relative. And so I think even if we're humans, we can still relate to the feelings the black swan experience. Because we all have that fear of losing the ones that we love because it could happen anytime. We all know the feeling of longing for someone, and us humans, even if we all know that one day we all will end up passing away, a lot of us still decided to fall in love. Our parents still decided to marry each other. So yeah, I think moral of the story, don't take things for granted, but also don't be too afraid to fall in love, especially just because you think it will end anyway, because everything in this life will end. So yeah, just be cringe, be free, text that girl, try that audition, quit that job, life is short, watch Frieden, like my video, subscribe to my channel.
Be on the right side of the history.
But anyways, if you've been following me for a while, you probably know that Eve is one of my favorite musicians. Like, he's been like my #1 for a long time, and thankfully this year he's coming to my country, and I hope I could see him. I hope I could get the tickets, and I hope I have the money for it. So yeah, I hope that one day I can listen to this song, SHIRAYUKI, live. And when that happens, I'll definitely tell you everything about it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!